Tell us about the quintet, how you all kind of came together, how long it has been, and how this magic happens.
Sure, I'll begin, and everyone else can tell their own bits of it.
Sure.
But Valida was the main impetus. She had a concert in Weston, the library, and wanted to play the Schubert Quintet last year, and had previously played with Amy, and we kind of came together for that and enjoyed ourselves so much. I think we all really enjoy playing chamber music in addition to our regular musical lives as freelancers and ensembles and orchestras around the area. But when we did that, I think it was really rewarding. We really liked that. You can play in chamber ensembles with people and it's fun, and it can be kind of a one-off, but we, I think, really enjoyed playing together so much that we made sure that we could do it some more. So we kind of moved forward with this.
Yeah, what people have not seen before the interview started is the camaraderie between all five of you.
Oh, we hate each other.
No, you do not.
We couldn't start the interview because we're so chatty. So.
There's a true friendship. There's a true spirit, I think, of respecting each other's talent, but also there's something that goes deeper, Valida. I think you might agree, too, that you make a deeper connection.
Well, we have a very hard time starting rehearsals because we just have so much to catch up on,
Right.
even when we see each other every day of the week, right? So no, we do really enjoy each other. I think we have great chemistry and personalities that kind of bounce off of each other, and we just seem to enjoy each other's company.
Yeah,
so.
is it unique for five female musicians to get together like this? I mean, is this something that you're aware of in other?
I mean, each situation is unique.
Yeah.
I do think that it's rare to have
Yeah.
a really special connection. Sometimes you get along musically great, but you don't necessarily connect on a personality level, or the opposite.
Yes.
I mean, you can really like someone, doesn't mean you want to play with them.
Well, right.
I mean, nothing, but it seems like we kind of have a little bit of everything, so it's just really special. I do think it's special.
Are you all classically trained musicians? I mean, yes, you're all nodding yes. So this is what you wanted to do. You're living out your dream, your goals. Amelia, you're nodding.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you came to this point in your life.
Well, I always say my best teacher, or my first teacher, was my father's record collection. So I grew up quite a big classical music nerd, just totally, that was what I listened to. I didn't really discover pop music until maybe middle school.
Wow.
And so this is definitely living a dream, getting to play my viola with such good friends, and especially this repertoire and this music.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit, if we can. Eleanor, tell us about the actual instruments themselves as part of the Kraft String Quintet. What are they, and why are they popular? Why are they possible? Why are they necessary in this group?
Why two cellos?
Cellos, yeah.
Because, well, it's cello. It's the best of all the string instruments.
But you're not biased at all.
Not at all.
No.
Not in the least. I think the sonority of string instruments, you can create a sound with string instruments, just string instruments alone, that I don't think you can do with a wind. I mean, wind ensembles are great. Don't get me wrong, but
You guys are going to get
pieces
some calls about that.
I
but-
bet,
Right.
yeah.
Pieces like Barbara Adagio for strings, all these pieces have a certain feel. They create certain emotions for people that I think are special, special to string instruments. And I think it has to do with the fact that we have strings and it's wood, and wood was once living, so there's the vibrations of the wood and the overtones that come out of the instruments, and they really have a chance to blend and create a different sound together.
What is your background? Tell us a little bit about your education and your repertoire up to this point.
I started on the violin, and I think last year I mentioned how I started on the violin, and it was a terrible choice because my head got stuck in the playing violin position. So we decided that was probably the wrong instrument. And P.S. I tried playing violin 2 years ago, and the same thing happened. So it's really not going to work for me.
Just to reaffirm the fact that you made the right decision with the cello, right?
Just in case.
Yeah.
And so I switched to cello, and it was always something, for me personally, I never really thought it was a professional choice for me. I just loved playing the cello.
Okay.
I loved the sound of the cello, and then when I finished high school, and I was looking for what direction I wanted to go, I wasn't feeling content with anything, and that's when it occurred to me that perhaps that was why, because it was the only thing I wanted to do. So I feel like it's not just my job, it's a calling, and it's a calling that even if I tried to ignore it, I couldn't ignore it.
Who would you say are some of your biggest influencers or people that have had the most impression on you in music?
As far as players?
Yeah.
I would say the stock answer is Jacqueline Dupre. And I would say she would be an influence because she's somewhat of a kindred spirit for me personally, because she was sometimes in her playing she was a little rougher on the edges, but she put her heart and soul into it, and I feel like that's how we can connect with people. That's especially in life, there's so much stress on the everyday person, and I feel like our job is to give them something else, is to give them a story, give them a feeling, help them find a way to vent that if they maybe can't find a way to do so. So she is the essence of that in the short time she played. And who else would I would say, as a cellist, one of my teachers, his name was Sandy Bailey, and he comes in sometimes and plays with Boston Philharmonic, and he actually was one of her caretakers.
Really? Okay.
And he kind of had that same energy, and he made me really see where I wanted to go as a player. So I would say he's another big influence for me. But also, my last one that's not necessarily a musician is my father, because he, as a little child, he always said, "I really think you're a musician." And he unfortunately passed away when I was 18, and one of the last sentences he said to me was, "Don't you forget you're a musician."
Really?
So that I carry that all the time.
Sure. Nobody knows their children better, right? Than their parents. Amy, what does it mean for you playing with these four ladies in this group? You know, what is it that you experience out of that as a musician?
Oh, a great deal of joy for the camaraderie that comes with it automatically. We do consult each other for all sorts of matters that are beyond the musical realm, but then when we are playing, there's such an exchange of intuition, and it's almost unspoken, but we trade off musical ideas all the time and try on each other's musical ideas and experiment, and you can't help but take away a little bit of each of them, which carries into the next musical setting, perhaps. You know, we've been together a good year, I'd say year and a half, at least from the very beginnings, and no doubt, looking back 5 years later from now, we will have grown musically in ways that we can't really plan to. It's almost by osmosis, and carry a bit of each of these ladies with inside, you know. And you were asking Ella about the musical influences, and I'd have to say that you cannot escape the impression that your teachers make on you, especially if you have a very good relationship with them, the ones from our school years, any more easily than you can escape the wiring that your parents instill from a very young age. Like, there are times when I feel like exactly like my mother, exactly like my father, but also my teachers. And eventually, I imagine there are bits of my dear colleagues here who I may be playing in a setting that's very removed from them, but I'll say, that's what Colleen would do.
Okay, all right.
I can totally see Velida running with that. You know, that's so.
We're the sum of our parts, right?
Right.
Yeah. What would be playing for us today?
So we are doing the String Quintet by Boccherini. What we're going to play here today is the Fugue from the D minor.
All right, well, we'll look forward to that.
thank you so much for being with me today.
Of course.
Thank you for having us.
So I'd love to know a little bit more about yourselves. How did you begin? How did you meet?
Well, we met in graduate school. We both are alums of New England Conservatory. Jonas played in my graduate recital. And then from there, we just kind of built up our repertoire and started doing gigs together.
Right, we built a lot of programs. We have 60 Minutes Around the World, we have a Spanish program, we have
We have a Neapolitan program,
right.
we have an Irish program, we have a comedy program that we're writing, which is Star Wars songs for International Star Wars Day, as in May the 4th be with you.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we're expanding our repertoire. We do, you know, more serious classical music, but we also do some comedy stuff. For almost every program that we do, I do a comedy song that's in the style of whatever program we're doing. Like our Neapolitan set, I have a fake Neapolitan serenade that tells you how to write a Neapolitan serenade. I have a fake Irish song that tells you how to write an Irish tune. So
yeah, it's been really great working with Austin, and we collaborate in so many different ways, and we cover so many different musical styles, and I'm very fond of our projects together, really.
Are there any other instruments that you play, or?
Yes, I do play more than one instrument, but what I'm using with Austin is mostly classical guitar, cajon, and melodica, which is a very interesting little instrument, which is kind of like a little
like
accordion.
An accordion. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What are some of your influences?
Well, as far as classical influences, for me, Luciano Pavarotti. As far as you know, popular music, like the kind of style that we're doing, that I'm writing for our Star Wars program, we really love Lake Street Dive, which is another New England Conservatory band formed there, and they're actually playing at Jordan Hall tonight. But anyway, people like that. As far as I think we're trying to do something a little different as far as bringing popular music kind of into collision with classical music, and that's kind
jazz
of
as well.
And jazz as well. So I think some of the people that we look up to kind of combine popular and classical and comedy in a certain way. Like Piano Guys, for instance, are doing some really interesting things. I don't know.
But we're actually trying to make our own special way of showing the music and connecting with the audiences too, because only classical music is not as easy to reach to audiences and people, and we're trying to connect these styles, even blues and jazz and classical, into one interesting concert that every single audience member would get something out of it and would be interested in at least one piece.
Yeah,
that's our goal.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to add?
So we're coming up with our debut album, which is actually Jonas and I and two other musicians, a pianist named Stephanie Mao and another classical guitarist, Rayleigh Beggs. And we're collectively known as Sole Dorato, which is the setting sun in Italian. And our album is going to encompass several of our different programs. It's going to feature our comedy songs, it's going to feature Neapolitan, and it's going to feature songs from our American program.
Cosa, una giornata sole, un'aria serena dopo una tempesta, quell'aria fresca pare già una festa. Che bella cosa una giornata sole, ma sole, chiovelle, oh sole mio, stanno fronte a te, oh sole, stanno fronte a te. Quando fa notte o sole se ne scende, me viene quasi una malinconia. Sotto a finestra tua restaria, quando fa notte o sole se ne scende, ma l'alto sole più bello n'è, oh sole mio, stanno fronte a te, oh sole mio, stanno fronte a te. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you away, we're bound away across the wide Missouri. Oh, Shenandoah, I love your daughter. Away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I love your daughter. Away, we're bound away across the wide Missouri. Oh, 7 years I've been a rover.